Coming up, tonight's episode has scary children's shows, gadgets, and McDonald's. This week, the third brain lives with Spy Kids, and this is Most Xtreme Podcast.
Welcome to Most Xtreme Podcast, the show where we discuss and analyze the enigma that is 2000s pop culture. I'm Brett Ellison.
I'm Jonathan Snowdy.
And I'm Jarrett Whitworth.
And this is the Spy Kid. Sorry. I just realized I sounded like, what's a sidekick from...
From Sky High.
Yeah, Sky
That's
High.
what you're thinking of.
Yeah. So Spy Kids, this is our...
Isn't his name Coach Boomer?
Coach Boomer.
Because he's
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry, for anyone who's wondering, we will probably get to a Sky High episode at some point, because we know that is maybe one of the most popular movies of this era.
God, I hope so.
Is it the best Kurt Russell movie of all time?
It's is it Dave Foley from from News Radio, and who plays Flick in Bug's Life.
Oh.
Yeah, he's the the teacher for Sidekicks. That might be my favorite Dave Foley movie of all time. Anyway, News Radio, great show. Check it out. It came out in 1992. But yes, this is our Spy Kids episode, and this is our first movie episode, which is very exciting. And of course, we chose the most exciting movie to talk about. But hopefully, we will be doing the others in this franchise coming, sort of how we'll probably do the SpongeBob series, how we did 1, 2, 3, and then the movie. My pitch to you guys is that we do Spy Kids 1, 2, and 3, and then end with Shark Boy and Lava Girl as the end of the series of that. That's up to you.
Sure.
No!
That's a plan. That is a plan.
Arguably the most influential movie of the decade.
Oh, Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Exactly.
Okay, just getting ready to sit down and with a pen and paper do an analysis of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Do you think Armand White has anything to say about Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
That's a good point. For those of you who don't know, you want to explain it? Or Armand White?
Armand White is a film critic who's known for being a contrarian. My favorite quote of his is that Man of Steel is the godfather of superhero movies. And basically...
Which, to be clear, it's a fine movie. It is a good movie.
Basically, every movie he loves is, not good. Every movie he hates is, an Oscar award-winning...
What's the name here?
Armand White.
Armand White. I remember he was on the Slash Filmcast, and he was defending Transformers Revenge of the Fallen over The Dark Knight. Yeah. He was like, no, you guys.
I think the only film recently that was bad and he thought was bad was Suicide Squad.
That wasn't that recent. Was that 2016?
Is that how long ago that was?
Jeez. Well, this is not a review of Suicide Squad, thank God. This is Spy Kids. Spy Kids, the first Spy Kids from 2001, classic film. It's pretty undeniable, though, the amount of... Wait, what are you looking at Armand White?
He hated Hamilton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he hates anything
good. The role
good.
needs a star, and this film doesn't have one.
If you've never seen Hamilton,
What a joke.
the star is like the logo for the thing.
Jeez.
Hamilton.
Oh my gosh.
Jonathan and I saw Hamilton
Together.
So I'll share this story real quick. Jonathan and I, so we live in Durham, North Carolina. We live in the Triangle area, and we have the Durham Performing Arts Center. It's basically a place where Broadway shows come and do shows. Hamilton came as part of a seasonal run, part of the Philip Tour. Shout out Philip Tour, Hamilton. And anytime it comes by, they have a raffle that's online, part of their Hamilton app. And you can basically win for 2 free tickets. And so my entire family got the app, and just to have, in case anytime, we might have 2 tickets to go see Hamilton. This was around the week of Thanksgiving or like the week before Thanksgiving of 2018, I think.
That sounds right.
And Jonathan, I was living up in Boone, North Carolina.
Up in the mountains.
And at the time, and Jonathan had been planning for several months to come up and visit me and just like hang out for the weekend. At the same time, I was also planning to have a party at my house, and Jonathan was going to come up for that as well. As I'm cleaning the house, I get a notification that I won the lottery for Hamilton. And I had to tell all of my housemates that like I can't make it to this party that I'm hosting. You guys have to do it. And they all totally understood. Like, no, you won, so there you go. And so I called Jonathan I'm like, hey, Jonathan, where are you? Oh, I'm like an hour and a half out from where you are. Yeah, you want to turn around right now?
Just go ahead
Hamilton?
and hit the U-turn.
And so the two of us sat at a donut shop and Wikipedia'd Hamilton. And then we sat middle front row, our tickets for Hamilton. Wow. Yeah. So several times I've called Jonathan and he has no clue what's about to happen. It might be like, do you want to go to Taiwan? And then we went to Taiwan.
It's true.
So anyway, back to Spy. I was going to talk about just how much spy-related media there was out for kids in the early 2000s. It just felt like, at least in terms of movies and TV shows, that, like, at least now, I feel like, superheroes and video games, like, that's the core thing. But I feel like at one point during the 2000s, everything was spy-related. So Spy Kids being a huge part of that.
Yeah. A lot of spy-related toys.
I remember having one of those, like, the sonar guns that, like, listen through walls or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, selling, like, cheap versions of gadgets essentially to kids,
exactly.
which was the cool thing. So, like secret decoder kits, all that type of stuff. Big time. And then so Spy Kids being a huge part of playing into that. I mean, I guess this technically counts as 90s, but the movie Harriet the Spy, which was a Nickelodeon film, but also like a series of books about like a girl spy type thing. I mean, like Nancy Drew, that type of stuff has always been around.
Yeah.
And then the other big one was like Agent Cody Banks, of course. Academy Award winning Agent Cody Banks. Yeah. We'll have to do that at some point. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of spy related material at some point in terms of the 2000s.
You ever been to the Spy Museum in DC?
I have been to the Spy Museum.
I have not. Yeah, I've heard good things.
It's pretty awesome.
Did you go, Jonathan?
I have been. It was a long time ago. I was probably 8 years old. But I'm looking it up. It opened in 2002.
Yeah. Perfect timing for this. The International Spy Museum is in...
Would have been in D.C.
It's in D.C.
By then, but I haven't... or since then.
Yeah, it's in the heart of downtown Washington, D.C. Pretty far away from the Smithsonian Mall area, and it's also a privately owned museum. Mm-hmm. But they have a lot of artifacts and cool stuff from the CIA and the FBI. Definitely part of their museum, part of the tour. They also have several different experiences that you can do there at the Spy Museum. One of which is sort of like that you go through Washington, D.C. on almost like a semi-guided tour where you might like have a clue and then you have to go find something and there might be like a QR code on a pole or something and then that takes you to the next clue type thing. And then they also have one built inside the museum that's like a spy experience thing where you go on like a themed, almost like a Disneyland like themed adventure that they have where like at one point you're in an alleyway and they have all these like lasers that you have to like, take out like gadgets and everything. You go into like a house, you have to like search for like clues and then you have to put it all back so it looks like nothing happened. I did the experience part. I did it with a sprained foot, which a lot of it requires running at some point. And at the very end, they give you a score out of 1 to 5. We got a 0 somehow.
What?
Our group was filled with old people. So at some point during the alleyway filled with lasers, our guy's like, okay, guys, we have to take all of these out one by one. And this old guy just walks straight through straight through the lasers.
We don't have time for this.
I don't think he spoke a ton of English, but I also just don't think... No, he did. He just couldn't hear him. And this was like, well, there's the door.
I walked uphill through lasers to school.
But anyway, yes, spy-related material is so big. I mean, also, this is around the time that, the Bourne movies are coming out. And, Mission Impossible was started in the 90s, but, had built, and of course, James Bond.
James Bond's,
is, definitely went through a complete change in the 2000s. What's the one, the Pierce Brosnan one?
Die Another Day.
Maybe my favorite movie ever. That's my favorite James Bond movie, and I'm not even kidding. Die Another Day. It's the worst one.
That's an Armand White level
level
take.
It's incredible.
Is that the one where he surfs on the?
Yeah.
On the, yeah.
Okay. Die Another Day starts with James Bond surfing
2002
into North Korea. Like, this is how good the movie is. I'm not kidding. I think it's on Netflix. Everyone needs to watch it.
That's the only way to get in.
Yeah.
They don't
so
expect it.
Good. I love it. I love it. But yeah. Definitely during the 2000s, the big thing was selling with spies. Like, spies was the cool thing, the gadgets, and it's just part of the change of technology being so big, and then film and everything. Yeah. I don't know why we were selling essentially like recruiting kids for the CIA and FBI at such a young age.
Well, you think even Drake and Josh? I mean, like,
yeah, you're right.
Megan had that entire wall of her room was like surveillance equipment around the house.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a very niche, like, younger sibling in a kids show.
That's true. But yeah, so Spy Kids definitely being a part of it. Do y'all have any history with this film of the first Spy Kids, or Spy Kids in general as a franchise? Like, had you seen it before?
I've watched it multiple times growing up.
Okay.
So the first Spy Kids is the only one my family owned, so it's the only one I've seen multiple times. And it's funny because I rewatched it recently, and I love it. But I also never remember disliking it as a kid. I was never like, oh, this is cheesy. Like, this is, whatever. Like, that's weird. Like, I remember really actually loving it as a kid as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jarrett?
Yeah, I remember having a great time watching them. I have definitely seen the first three. I didn't know there was a fourth one until today.
Yeah. About that one.
But yeah, I liked them plenty, and going back and watching some stuff, I was thinking like, yeah, this is a little weird, but it's like it's like earnest enough to, like, it is fun and quirky, and like, it's the kind of thing that
sure.
It's not made for a 27-year-old.
Yeah, so I definitely remember seeing Spy Kids for the first time. I think we had rented it from Blockbuster, which is an old sentence right there.
It's a moment in time.
Yeah, I loved Spy Kids. I think this might be my favorite franchise of all time in terms of, like, the 2000 stuff that we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I've said this multiple times before. Like, I consider myself a filmmaker. My dream is to be a writer, director, something like that in terms of that. I've always wanted to be a filmmaker since the young age of 7, and the movie that inspired me to do it was Spy Kids 2. No joke. Like, that is, to this day, still, I watch Spy Kids 2, I'm like, this is the most inspiring film ever. It's just the amount of people who are like, oh, I got inspired by, like, Taxi Driver or Godfather. No, Spy Kids 2. So, and we'll talk about it coming up, because I do have a little bit of the history of how Spy Kids was made, and a lot of it kind of goes into, I think, why, for us, it was so inspiring, or as for kids, we really liked it. So we do have to talk about the history of Spy Kids, and of course, we have to talk about the director, writer, editor, VFX artist, sometimes music, basically all together, man. Robert Rodriguez, who's the creator of Spy Kids. This comes from I have an article here from The Guardian from 2001 when he was promoting Spy Kids. I'm gonna just go ahead and read this. It says, fueling Rodriguez's desire to make his movie was what he claimed was lack of family movies. Calling family films the neglected genre, Rodriguez said that he knew he wanted Spy Kids to be something more than just a typical family film. He said he stayed away from the root canal experience that family films often deliver to adults because filmmakers cater to children and forget about parents sitting in the theater. Rodriguez said he set out to deliver a strong family message about the core of Spy Kids and to make his movie as entertaining and imaginative as possible. He stated that he wanted to restore a magical element in children's movies, adding, what is why the whole movie feels like it was created in a kid's dream. I really wanted to make it feel like a child created this movie. And he goes on a little bit to say some of the inspirations for other movies that he talks about when he was a kid. The big ones, which are the original Escape to Wish Mountain movies from like the 60s or 70s. They remade one with The Rock, which we'll definitely have to do. There's a template of
it's a good
memes,
meme.
From way back in the day of if you want to see like a difference between what Dwayne Johnson looks like now, just look up Escape to Wish Mountain. We'll probably have to do this movie at some point.
I feel like I've heard of this, but it's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, I think it's him driving the car and Anna Sophia Robb's in the background. Yeah.
Oh, I have seen that meme.
Okay,
and I remember seeing some sort of advertisement on like you know when they used to put ads like on the first like 5 minutes of the VHS.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
I remember seeing Escape to Witch Mountain like a billion times. Yes, I know exactly
it's him like being shocked by turning around in the back of the car. So yeah, that was a big one, and then the other big ones are Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Ooh, I didn't pick up Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but now I see it.
Do you see?
I definitely see.
We'll
Wonka.
Definitely talk about Willy Wonka coming up because there's a bunch of influence to that. I see it. Yeah.
When I was watching this earlier with my roommate Quinn, I literally turned to him and said, "Floop is like if Willy Wonka and Tony Stark got stuck in a teleporter together."
That's a good way of putting it. I'm trying to see if I had anything else to talk about in terms of sort of the history of how this
I
was
am
made.
Foogly. Snap.
But yeah, no, he was very inspired by sort of the...
The 6 Infinity Fooglies.
We're about to get into the Fooglies for a second. Okay, so I guess how we're gonna do this is we're just gonna. I have basically a rundown of the entire film because that's what I did this past Friday, and then you guys can just spit in anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
I should give you I should give a fair warning that a lot of my notes also come from, instead of the commentary, I come from the YouTube channel Pretty Much It and their commentaries on the movies of all the Spy Kids, and also the Bechtel Cast, which is a feminist podcast about movies and women's roles, and they did one on Spy Kids that was extremely informational. So, if I will give credit's due if this isn't my joke, but yes, please check out both Pretty Much It and the Bechtel Cast. They're both great. Okay, here we go. From the top, here's Spy Kids. Okay. We open with a beautiful Mexican villa on top of a mountain overlooking the ocean. A young girl, Carmen Cortez, sits overlooking the ocean when her mom comes in to put her to bed. The younger sibling, Junie Cortez, is getting ready for bed and is trying to get rid of his wart problem. So right off the bat...
On his fingers.
Yeah. I'm already right off the bat saying that this is something that this is a child's problem. And this is kind of going into Robert Rodriguez's whole thing of like, it feels like a kid's supposed to make this movie rather than an adult, which is, I feel like if an adult had made this movie, you wouldn't have a really disgusting thing in the film, like a wart problem.
Bandaging up his fingers.
Right. But to me, that makes it more human. And we'll talk about it coming up in a bit, I'm sure, but how Carmen and Junie, their relationship as siblings is honestly like one of the best I've seen in all of like cinema in terms of how real it is and how they're kids. They're just playing themselves.
The moment that absolutely made it click for me was when they're in the safe house. Junie puts on the spy glasses. He's like, "Ew, gross." He's like, "What do you see?" You.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
perfect.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one thing, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, coming up, but like in the 2000s, this almost was like the last era where movies about kids, where they could actually act like children, if that makes sense. Like, now, it feels like since everything's so controlled and created by like an algorithm almost, that like, I guess the only example I can think of is Stranger Things, where it's like, the kids are mean to each other, they're flawed, they're gross, like that's what kids are. And it feels like Spy Kids, Holes comes to mind to me as like a movie where it's like, even though they're teenagers, and if they're not swearing because it's still like a PG film, but they're still acting like kids,
Yeah.
and I that's something that is definitely a sign of this era of like I kind of miss that in terms of the.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna ask us to leave that in. But
No, leave it in. No, I mean, I think that speaks to, again, just like it is a good family film because it's like kind of just earnest about this kind of stuff. Like it takes itself seriously. It's like a
and
it's about
and
kids
there's-
being spies,
right? And there's the whole message of family that we get
Yeah.
into, of course, throughout the learning that they learn basically. Especially Carmen gets sort of the bigger arc of learning about family, but still. Yeah, it does feel like something that's like I watch movies now and I'm like, man, it's just not the same. Like it feels like kids. I guess we got to a point where we understood kids and then we went, but there's too many organizations out there that we have to control everything that the kids do. So I don't know. So anyway, Carmen's falling asleep and her mom tells her the story of the two spies who fell in love. Which is about two spies who were from two different countries, and the man spy was supposed to take out the woman spy, and the woman spy was supposed to take out the man spy, but they fell in love. And, of course, it is revealed to us in the flashback that these two spies are actually, in the story, are their parents. And during their wedding, since they're both from different organizations and countries and both wanted targets, a helicopter raid happens at their outdoor wedding.
Yeah.
Which it felt like if you knew this was going to happen,
Tale as old as time.
you maybe should have it outside. I don't know.
They did have the boat ready with parachutes to jump off the cliff.
Yes,
Just in case, always be prepared.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That when they jump off, they have like the heart.
They grab each
Parachutes.
other's hands and they jump off, and I think the frame rate slows a little bit as they jump, and the heart-shaped parachutes.
It's classic.
It's incredible.
Anyways, they've retired and now they've become consultants. The end of the story. At this point where we learn that they both are not. The parents are very not happy that they retired, but they do feel like they're safe. Also, one second, I do have to talk about that. Their house is freaking awesome.
The house is bonkers.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. It's massive. It's on like
It's like the Tony Stark house. It's
right
on
yeah,
the cliffside.
So
It's a lot more colorful.
I guess the
Oh, yeah.
OSS has a ton of money
Yeah.
for like retirement packages. I'm not entirely sure, but
like the jungle gym in there and all that.
yeah. So the fact that they have a
Maybe consultant work pays better.
yeah, I guess so. Well, we'll get into Spy Kids 2. They have the treehouse with all the gadgets and stuff in there. But that doesn't come in this movie because at the beginning, this is them becoming spies. You know, this is sort of the origin story of the story. Also, this is at one point that we learned that Gregorio Cortez, which is the name of the dad, is secretly working on some project about missing agents, but it's not entirely clear to the audience what's going on. The next morning, Carmen and Junie are on a large obstacle course gymnasium in their house. Junie complains that they have to do this every morning, but they don't know why. And on their way to school, Junie watches a TV show called Flops Fooglies. I hope I'm saying that right.
Floops?
Floops Fooglies, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fluke.
My Google Drive keeps saying, "Did you maybe say Fooglies?" Like it knew what I was trying to talk. Now this is the point in the movie where it made me go, "Is this a horror film?" Because I think
Some of that stuff.
this is really like
wild.
the most scary, like uncanny valley, like makeup and costuming
Yep.
I've ever seen.
Yep.
Especially for a kids movie.
The Fugly like costume design is pretty like scary, but I think what's more frightening is when you finally later on when you get to the transformation scene
yeah.
and they're like shaking around and like tied down to and as they like transform into some like creature. That's scary.
I read a couple like parent reviews, and they were like, "Yeah, my 7-year-old had nightmares after this. 4-year-old loved it."
I don't know
my kid was terrified.
I don't know what age
Thought
I
he
was
was
when I
being
saw this, but I
brainwashed.
do not remember being scared of any of the Fugly stuff at all. But now I'm watching it as a lot older. I'm like, this is so scary.
Yeah.
I remember my parents thought, like, turn it off.
I wonder if it's because they have sort of a cartoonish presentation of the Fuglies.
Yeah,
Like
But do
they're-
they?
it was like Teletubbies
It's
or something.
yeah. I was gonna say because we talked about this on our SpongeBob
Ah.
episode how Teletubbies is just so uncanny valley that it's like
right.
like it's really scary. But this is like I don't know if Robert Rodriguez is trying to make a point about like how kids television can kind of get away with the like Teletubbies, this creepy weird stuff, and then kids will just buy it. I don't know if he's trying to make a point about that, because we learn later like that the Fluglies are talking in a weird dialect that if you put it in reverse, they're like screaming for terror and help, which is like really scary. And we'll get to at one point they're like dungeon that walked into, which is like really scary. But it does kind of come off as something that a kid would make, I guess. The Thumb Thumbs, which I guess we can talk about them, were actually something that Robert Rodriguez himself created when he was a kid.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have that right there?
I got that. That is trivia number 1 on the IMDb trivia page.
All right. Woo! Yeah. Anyway. Oh, I do have to say that in a daydream scene, this is one of my favorite parts. Gregorio daydreams about throwing one of Junie's bullies' dad out through a school window, and all the kids cheer and like run up to him, and Junie like jumps into his arms. That's probably one of the funniest. I think Antonio Banderas in this movie is really funny.
He is, yeah.
We're going to talk about him in an upcoming episode for another role he's done in a kid's film. But
he's got some range.
He needs to do more comedy, is what I think. Yeah, I think he's super funny. Because he's, of course, Zorro, as we know. Mm-hmm. And he's really good at that. But, yeah, I think here he shows his comedy skills. Cut to Fegan Floop lives in a castle that's also shaped like a boot on the beach. I couldn't really make it out, but I feel like it's supposed to look like some type of storybook fantasy world. He's having a meeting with some investors who seem to be like a group of military men who seemed outraged of his invention of the Fooglies. Fegan Floop's latest invention is robotic clones of children that can be used as weapons, and he calls them Spy Kids.
Roll credits.
Yeah, roll credits. He said the movie. The only trick is that they don't have any brains. And also, the entire time he's using some type of ball of clay in his hands, which we'll get to later. I think, is that a reference to Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka? Because I feel like at some point in that whole movie, he's just like playing with clay. And, like the first Willy Wonka movie, not the Johnny Depp one.
No,
that I don't know. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Because I know he's like spitting poetry the whole movie, and he's just like, I feel like at one point he's playing with poetry. I don't remember. We're also introduced to the character of Alexander Minion, who was a sort of the Minion Igor character. A little
on the nose.
Fegan Floop. Yeah, the best part is him just being like, "Shut up, Minion." Oh, it's so funny.
The main military guy who's basically contracted them to do this work, his name is Lisp.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
He's also the Liquid Terminator from T2.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
And
Minion is that Tony Shalhoub?
Yes, that's Tony Shalhoub. Yeah. And Alan Cumming is
like right before Monk.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was right before Monk.
Yeah.
This was before Monk.
Yeah.
It was like the year before. It was like pretty close.
Do you think that's how he got the part?
We'll get to his character coming on.
Oh my god, what if he was a monk?
He doesn't play a monk in Monk. Have you seen Monk?
No.
It's a jungle out there. Just
leading into the hour leading into Psych is just Gregorian chants from Tony Shalhoub. Tune in next week.
What's his name? Natalie?
I don't know.
Yeah, he lives in a monastery in San Francisco. Monk, great show. Watch it. Okay, after 9 years, Gregorio accepts an assignment from the OSS. Basically their version of like the IMF or like the MI6 of James Bond, that type of thing. To locate these missing agents. His wife has to like seduce him to like come on the mission. I was kind of unclear. She basically just like whisper in his ear, and he's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was supposed to mean.
Yeah, and then apparently she's coming along board. They get their coordinates from the OSS in their car, and then the coordinates take them as the car drives off of a cliff and then dives straight into the ocean and turns into a submarine. I distinctly remember seeing that as a kid and being like, I'm in. This is the coolest movie I've ever seen.
Sold.
Yeah. So they have their uncle, in quotation marks, Felix, take care of the kids while the parents are gone on the mission. Played by Cheech, right? Or who plays?
Wasn't that Danny Trejo?
No, Uncle Felix.
Oh,
Not Uncle Michelle.
Yeah,
different.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's Cheech.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So Gregory and Ingrid are in the submarine and then are suddenly captured by a vegan floop signal and are inside a large submarine. Back at the Cortez house, a red alert warning signals inside the house. Uncle Felix rips off his mustache and reveals that he was never their uncle in the first place and that their parents are international spies and sends them away to a safe house. I feel like this is a moment at some point. I feel like at some point every kid wished their parents had like some secret life that they had at one point or still had. Like, what if my parents were agents or somehow? So that's at the point of the movie where the kids are like, "What?" I love that he rips the. I'm not your uncle.
The mustache is what changed it. I certainly always wished for like trap doors and stuff in my house.
Right, yeah.
I wish for that kind of stuff.
Which the funny part is that it's a closet and then it's a long hallway and then they open it up and there's another closet and then that's the submarine. And he's like, "Is this some type of joke?" I really think the people who play Carmen and Junie, it's Alexa Pena Vega, I think is her name.
That's
and,
right. Yeah.
Mr. Meghan Trainor is.
That's right. Daryl Sabara is married to Meghan Trainor.
Yeah. I feel like that's a running gag now that everyone just calls him Mr. Meghan Trainor because he's married. They're fantastic in this movie. I love them a lot. The Thumbs, who we've talked about earlier, they come in dressed as ninjas, which is kind of jarringly scary because they're like basically people in giant like ninja suits, but like they have giant heads.
All of their head and their arms are the same like width.
Yeah,
like around.
And it looks like they're wearing
boys.
Yeah, it looks like they're wearing a fake sumo suit or something. But they come in and attack the house, and Uncle Felix tells the kids via security camera that the third brain lives. That's all they know. Carmen and Junie take a submarine escape boat to a safe house and are chased on water by the ninja Thumbs.
That's an awesome chase scene, by the way.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's like they're going straight there. They arrive on the ride to the safe house. Or on the ride to the safe house, excuse me. Junie is sad, thinking that this might be the time he might never see his parents again. I feel like this is a point also with the submarine that they have all the gadgets in there. There's like a microwave for popcorn and like a small toilet and everything like that. That this is a pretty much it comment, but I also totally agree, which is that like every kid wanted this in their house was like a submarine, but like Robert Rodriguez designed it as a kid would design it, which is like it gives you food. It can like talk about your poop. It can do all this stuff. Like, it's so perfect that he like designed it this way, and I love it. Okay, the parents are taken to the dungeon of Floop's castle, where the Fugleys are revealed to be prisoners, which is extra creepy. They're basically like in chains, like shaking the bars.
It's kind of like if you went behind the scenes of the Teletubbies set and found out the Teletubbies were like actually in chains and like being forced to do this against their will.
Yeah, the sun god is actually a demon.
Like,
bow to me.
Apparently,
did you guys know that George Orwell directed Teletubbies?
I was gonna say, do you know
some Teletubbies are more equal than others?
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
The baby whose face is in the sun in Teletubbies. Mm-hmm. She's all grown up and now she has a child. How does that make you feel? Like the baby has a baby now.
Is it like how the Nirvana baby is like grown up and he hates the fact that has all
the world is seen naked
between his legs? Anyway, so Carmen and Junie arrive at the safe house, which is it's basically like this Pinterest-looking Airbnb rental. Which is also like half a cave.
Google image search like cabana.
Yeah, look up
And that is
Cave Airbnb and you'll find it. Yeah.
Just for the sake of argument, let's see. Cave B&B.
Cave Airbnb.
This is also the point, Jonathan, where I also was like, this is really cool, where you talking about like the glasses. But I also love that like she looks in the cupboard and there's nothing there. She closes it, she opens it again, and it's like full of food. This is a joke that made me laugh very much. They have an emergency cash drawer, and Carmen goes, "Wow, emergency cash from every country." And this is from Caitlin Durante of Becto Cast, so she made this joke first. But I'm saying that she finds emergency cash and she's like, every country, and it's like 8 countries. So
that's last time I looked at a globe.
Well, most people don't know geography, which is a little sad, but still, it's like South Korea, Mexico, Canada.
Yeah.
That's
all of them. There are more flags in this room from more countries.
Yeah. At some point, we learn that Ingrid and Gregorio have escaped the dungeon of the castle, and they find what's called a virtual room, which is essentially like the holodeck.
Yeah.
Or like the Dreamatorium for you community.
Dreamatorium.
Yeah, for your community fans. The Floop sends them through a trap. There's a lot of trap doors in this castle. At like any point, people are like, "Whoa!" You learn that Alexander Minion is giving commands to Floop through it via an earpiece. Floop says that he wants Gregorio to help him build something for synthetic intelligence, and he refuses. Floop has captured Felix, their fake uncle, and uses his clay mold from before to create a Foogly out of Felix. So the clay is essentially like a giant remote control that he can mold into any type of weird face shape, and then that face will go... It's like a 3D printer.
Yeah.
But it goes onto your face and makes you turn into a really disgusting looking, creepy, uncanny valley thing.
Yeah. If they replaced Chuck E. Cheese, all the Chuck E. Cheese characters with Fooglies...
I mean...
How close would you allow a Chuck E. Cheese to your house?
I mean, FNAF
you went out in the streets.
There is
riding.
no distance large enough.
Five Nights at Freddy's is basically that. I mean, other than the fact that they're living in the animatronics. I don't know. I've never played FNAF.
Yeah, but they look like... those look like animals. They're all like foxes and bears.
Rather than like...
Whatever the Fooglies
demons,
are.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
Demon Clown.
Yeah, ugh. Back at the safe house, the kids find all the spy gear, and they just kind of decide to become spies. They're just like, and we're spies. I guess they learned that their parents are, so they're like, we will now be spies.
Yeah, I think, do they have a moment where they're like, it's up to us to save our parents or something? Is that kind of why they do it? I thought that's
like they have it at some point. They get a knock on the door from a woman named Miss Grodinko, which is a woman who works for the OSS. She's brought along some other untrustworthy-looking agents. The kids seem hesitant to trust her, even though she says she works for the OSS. She shows the kids a message with the words Floop written on it, which now Junie has figured out that Floop is the one behind all this and has kidnapped his parents. This is where she reveals that the Fooglies are actually mutated versions of the OSS agents, the ones that Gregorio was looking for the whole time. From before, they played the words backwards that they were saying in gibberish, and it says that they're saying, Floop is a madman, help us, save us, which is really scary.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say what's really scary is they're not just saying it, they're saying it in like a sing-songy like cadence.
Yeah. They're like, Floop is a madman. It's so, man, ugh. Oh, I can't stand it. That's the stuff that's so scary. And we bought it as children. Miss Grodinko tells the kids that their parents are next, and Carmen decides to share with this woman that the information of the third brain lives, and Miss Grodinko hands her an OSS bracelet saying, like, you've passed. You've made it into the ranks of becoming a full agent. And then, surprise, they try to raid the house. She's not actually an OSS agent. She's working for Floop the whole time. And Ninja Thumb Thumbs tear through the safe house and their old submarine and try to look for the third brain, which we find, and it's a very tiny, like, how would you describe it?
It's the size of a walnut.
It's basically the size of a walnut, but it looks like a robotic brain.
Which is important for a flashback later.
Yes.
where it is replaced with a walnut.
Exactly. Fight scene, and they escape via jetpacks. Pretty sick.
Yeah.
As a kid, jetpacks, coolest thing.
That was pretty awesome.
It's one of those things where I'm like, why don't we still have those?
They had some wild control over those jetpacks. There was
Yeah.
like sudden stops.
Right.
I'm
With, like
pretty
no
sure-
deceleration. No, it was just like whoop, turning right now. Just you know.
Oh.
There was some high tech.
The machete buddy pack is what it's called.
Yeah. It goes all the way to like downtown, and they like
Yeah.
escape in like a Dillard's or something.
And nobody realized. It's like nobody noticed jetpacks flying around.
Whoa!
Well, that was fast.
It's
They've really let Dillard's go.
Last time I show my face here. Apologies to Dillard's. You're not. That's fine.
you're bankrupt at this point. We get
like
an
to-
email from Dillard's like, we want to sponsor Most Extreme Podcast.
Cease and desist. What the?
Floop has an existential crisis about his own show and rants to Alexander Minion. Alexander Minion recommends that they send the robotic children to stop Carmen and Junie. And they send the two robotic children that look exactly like Carmen and Junie. Their version of their robot clone. So they look exactly like Carmen and Junie, and they're going to go fight them. At this point, we've reached a town known as San Diablo, which is not a real place.
Are you sure?
No, it is actually filmed in Santiago, Chile.
Oh.
That's what it's meant to look like. So
Can we talk about how the first establishing shot of that place is literally the meme of like Mexico, and it's like just a normal looking street, and then like Mexico and American movies, and it's like the same street but with like a hideous orange filter thrown over it. It's like the orangest orange you can imagine. Everything's like dusty for no reason.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Like after that scene is fine.
Yeah.
Like there's not
Everything
nothing
else is
orange.
like, they're in a park.
Yeah.
It's normal.
But like that first establishing shot is like so orange.
They filmed this movie in Texas and in Chile, so I think all the like outside stuff was in Chile. And Santiago, Chile is a really nice town. So shout out to all of our Santiago, Chile listeners. Hey, if you're a listener from Santiago, Chile, use the hashtag Santiago Spires.
We will send you some gear.
MXP for Santiago.
This is I'm doing a Doughboys bit, but yeah. Hashtag Santiago Spires. And if you're not a Santiago listener, hashtag Santiago Deniers.
There's no Santiago, Chile.
Santiago, Chile was an inside job.
Santiago, we're coming for you next. First live show. We have to learn. We have to all learn Spanish really quickly so we can do the whole show.
First live
Bienvenidos
show.
a la Most Extreme Podcast. I don't know. I'm sorry, my Spanish is terrible. Where were we? Oh, so they have a fight in the park with these two clones who are trying to get the third brain, which has now become the MacGuffin of the film. And they fight the clones, and the clones get the third brain. They take it from Carmen and Junie, and Carmen and Junie take one of the dog tags of the clones, and it says Spy Kid on it, and they realize that they're making an army of robotic children weapons from there. So the kids made up with their parents' old friend and gadget maker, Machete. Machete, played by the wonderful Danny Trejo, who we all love. Yeah, he's fantastic in this movie. And it's also revealed that Machete is also their actual uncle and their father's brother. And he feels kind of like, I don't want to have to do everything for my family type thing. I don't have to, he's my younger brother. So Machete makes gadgets, and he's also sort of the anti-hero because he's also given weapons and stuff to Floop.
Would now be a time to cut in, or do we want to circle back later?
No, hit it.
When I was watching stuff and saw like, oh, Uncle Machete or whatever, I thought, did Danny Trejo play another character named Machete? I did not realize that those Machete movies were like R-rated, gory, violent spin-offs of Spy Kids.
Are they actually a spin-off?
Yes.
Really?
They are like a canonized spin.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's like
Oh, it's just
all
right
the
there.
descriptions of it
Okay.
are like
Oh.
spin-off
See,
of Spy Kids.
I know nothing about the Machete movies.
it's
other than Danny Trejo's in them.
it is.
And
They're
his name
just
is
like
Machete.
yeah.
We need to watch him. At one point, he's like, "Remember when I had those Carmen and Junie? Oh, they were." He like looks at a picture of the two of them, and they're like grown up. He makes a tear, or or they do something about like your brother Gregorio. You don't want to have the same fate as him. And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, it was crazy. I did not realize that they were connected in any fashion. Wow.
Well, what if I told you?
Yeah.
Didn't Robert Rodriguez make the Machete movies?
Yes, yeah. So they have to be connected.
Yeah.
What if I told you?
This is all stuff I've
there's
learned.
Machete. There's Machete Kills.
Yeah.
And coming soon, Machete Kills in Space.
I saw that on it. That's coming soon?
Yes, it's in the works. I think it's been in the works for a really long time.
Oh man, take me there.
It's been in the works since
I probably won't see
2015.
that. I'm probably not saying that.
I was about to make a joke about let's skip Tenet and see Machete Kills in Space.
Whenever either of these movies come out.
Did they give Tenet a release date?
It's actually Tenet. Okay, so we're recording this in August. This will come out in October, so who knows by now.
Yeah.
But
no spoilers if you've seen it now.
Yeah, if you've seen Tenet, do not email any of us. For all your complaints about the movie Tenet, send them to jonathan.at@gmail.com.
Send them to Dillard's at AOL.
I don't think they heard this right. hang on, LLAR dot. Wait, http//
www.
What were we talking
But
about?
I don't know.
Machete Kills in Space.
Oh, yes.
Danny Trejo.
Were we going to
That's the
see
whole
that or Tenet? Was
Right,
the
yeah.
question.
So Tenet,
on the
Tenet
table.
at this point is actually going to be released in other countries besides the U.S. because they're reopening a little bit quicker than we are in terms of this whole COVID situation.
I did see. For those of you listening, October, if you remember back when we were dealing with.
They're probably still dealing with it in October.
Yeah. Oh no. I think that'd be.
Oh, you mean like the fact that movies kept getting changed release dates?
Oh no, I just mean I know that. Sorry, knock that. If y'all hear a wonk, just hit the. No, but they said the last like trailer I saw was very clear, like coming to theaters. So I think they were making a statement like we're not just going to release on.
I don't think
Netflix or
I
Amazon
don't think this has
Prime
become a Tenet
Quibi
podcast
or
at this
whatever.
point.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the watch?
8-minute installments. Or
It's like how back in the day YouTube would sometimes have like full movies on.
Yeah.
But it'd be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2 of 12, and you'd have to watch them all. And
they'd always be like
Watched a lot
stuck
of
in a
TV shows on
corner
YouTube.
and like sped up or pitched or something.
But Quibi is gonna put them out as as like come in next week, the next 5 minutes of.
Are they really doing?
microtransactions.
Are they really doing that? On
No,
Quibi?
no.
Oh god.
Then I would. Then I
Yeah,
would,
Jonathan, you got to download it right now.
Yeah, Quibi, come on, Quibi.
I thought this was going to be like a made-for-TV movie. You know, like when it like suddenly like something happens, like dun dun dun, and it fades to black, and then it fades right back up from black because they obviously edit it for like commercial breaks.
Yeah.
They're gonna do,
and they repeat the line. The first line of the new scene is the last line of the last scene. Yeah.
They're gonna do the snakes on a plane.
The commissioner's in the
thing.
building.
They're gonna do the when they had snakes on a plane and they and they did the TV edit of it and it's he's swearing a bunch, but the TV edit is Samuel Jackson saying like I've had enough of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. Classic. Anyway. We're talking about Spy Kids still? Okay.
They're with Uncle Machete.
Okay. So they're with them. Alexander Minion is preparing the robot of army children with the third brain, which is the tiny little brain, and he's putting it into all the robot children. And Alexander Minion turns on Floop now and has revealed that he is the real villain the whole time, and that Floop is now locked inside the virtual room, and Minion is multiplying the third brains. Minion has now become our main villain. And Floop, who was just an innocent the whole time, who just really wanted his show to be better than it was, and it's having an existential crisis.
He does have a great line. Floop is like, Minion, what are you doing? You can't. Or he's like giving him some sass about this betrayal, And Minion's response is like, "Rest assured, it's Mr. Minion to you."
Oh yes, I love that line. It's Mr. Minion.
Also, so he has glasses up until this point, Minion.
Right, like huge, like
and they're really nerdy looking. They magnify his eyes a bunch, and he takes them off in this scene. Which begs the question: why was he wearing them in the first place if he never needed them? But that kind of works a lot for his character because before he's kind of like he's dorky and not intimidating. When he takes off his glasses, he's legitimately scary.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a bit because I do have sort of a bit about Alexander Minion coming up. Anyway, the kids, Machete has this like plane. He's like, this is the only way you can get to Floop's castle, and so they steal it. Essentially, in the middle of the night, they take some of his gadgets, but he's like seems proud of them that they did that. He's like, "You guys, go get them." So anyway, Carmen and Junie sneak through the castle in sort of a Scooby-Doo like castle. Very much chasing against and they save the Fooglies and they get away from the Thumb Thumbs and then they get chased by the Thumb Thumbs and the robotic children. Carmen finds like where the Thumb Thumbs are made, things like that. At one point, it is revealed that so in the scene, it's like Alexander Minion has the place where they turn everyone to Fooglies. So they have Gregorio and Ingrid, the parents, like laying down in these beds where they're going to be turned to Fooglies. And Minion looks exactly like Blofeld from the James Bond, like classic James Bond films, where he's got like this, like kind of like white.
What was this character's name?
Blofeld.
The like buttoned up.
Yeah, it's like a buttoned up white
kind of
shirt. Yeah, with a collar. That's exactly what he's wearing.
Or like Dr. Evil for some.
I see.
Dr. Evil is based off of that.
I
Yeah,
see.
like that.
Yeah, with the cat.
Yeah.
I see exactly what you're. I see exactly what you're talking about.
So he's going for kind of James Bond villain, which I mean, you're getting your, sort of your resemblance and also just sort of.
That's another spy thing.
Homage,
Austin Powers.
homage. Yeah.
Mr. Pigglesworth.
Yeah, I do love how Junie says "yeah, baby" a lot. Throughout this movie,
what?
and it's fake teeth. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God, I missed that was a bit.
Like a little 6-year-old kid doing an Austin Powers impression.
Do I make you Randy?
Oh my god!
Everyone's like, yeah, this is PG-13 now.
Junie saves the Floops, who are now good, and they save his parents. However, the dad has been turned into a Foogly. This is maybe the most nightmare fuel part of the whole film. I think I remember actually being scared of this part as a kid, where the dad has now become a Foogly. So his face is all stretched and everything. And it's based off of the design from later, which Junie was drawing.
Yeah, it's Junie's drawing of like he drew his own Foogly, like in the very first couple scenes, and then his dad gets turned into that.
Yeah. Anyway, the military shows up to finally see the finished product of the robotic children, and the Cortez family teams up and tries to stop Minion, and they turn Minion into a Foogly with 4 extra heads. That's pretty creepy too.
The creepiest part is when he smiles. They all smile.
Yeah, they all move.
And there's like a sound effect of like.
There is some
smile.
funny sound effects in this movie too. That's
There
another
are,
Bechdel cast. They were talking about how like at one point like Floop like has a cape and he like whoops it like whoosh while like really quacking it so loud. And it's like it's so good. The military guys tell the robotic they buy the robotic kits and then they tell the robotic kits to destroy Minion and his henchmen. Happy ending. Junie no longer has the warts. He's become more of a confident kid. The family's back together again, and now the robotic children are being used with the military as good deeds and helping. You see a robotic child like helping save someone from a fire on the news, and the news person the whole time is like, "What is with these children? How are they able to go inside the fire and save it?" Also, the Cortezes have adopted a Thumb. I can't really tell.
Yeah, the Thumb is wearing a frilly blue and white striped apron and is serving them breakfast.
Yeah, he's like, hey. Yeah. He comes in later. I think in Spy Kids 2, you see their Thumb like maid. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah,
if you were in a castle and you could steal a robot from a mad genius and make it be your butler,
You gotta take that chance.
I mean, it's just like
gotta
convenience.
capitalize on that. Yeah.
it's sort of that's one of the staples of the. I mean, I don't know if it comes in Spy Kids 3. I can't remember that one as much as 2, but I definitely remember the Thumb Thumbs come back. The Fooglies don't, thank God.
Burn them.
Yeah, please.
Kill it with
if
fire.
you are a parent and you're listening to this, put your kids away from the Fooglies. So anyway, the Cortezes have gotten back together. Machete is reconciled with his brother. They're all eating breakfast until they get a message on their television from a man named Devlin, played by
George Clooney.
Yes, George Clooney is in this movie as Devlin, who's essentially like the president of the OSS or something.
Yeah.
I liked the moving the black bar over his eyes bit. That was
Yes,
really,
yeah, he has a black bar over his head, and he
funny.
like
Dusting it off.
he blows it, like dusts it off, and puts it back on. He's saying, "No, I actually want Carmen and Junie to do this mission, not the parents to do it." And then they are like, "No, we're only going to do this as a mission as a family because we're a family." And then, yay, end of movie. And yeah, roll credits. I love this movie. I don't know. I sent you guys a text later when I was rewatching. Like, this is completely different than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. In what ways?
Yeah. What did you mean
You
by
want-
that?
I
Unpack
feel
that.
like I like it way more because I feel
Yeah.
like as a kid I was just in awe of everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a kid it super had an impact on me because that's like
Same.
why I wanted to be part of it. But I think I like it a lot more, especially because as it's held up over time, because I saw it when it came out, we see how like the relationship between Carmen and Junie is so real, and it's so like they feel like siblings, and a lot of it comes from like at the beginning of the movie, Carmen's is just sort of mean to Junie at the beginning of the film, and
Junie
like,
throws a dumbbell at her.
yeah,
when
but
they're
she kicks him off the
Yeah,
thing. Like
yeah.
she's like you're slowing me down essentially. And at one point we even see like how she feels about him because she literally talks about him behind his back in front of some classmates and says like I shouldn't be responsible for anybody but me. And then through this experience she learns that like even though she's mean to her brother in very much a older sibling way, she still like cares for him a lot. Like he almost flies off the submarine. She tries to save him and everything like that. That she's still the older protector type person. So I think a lot of that meanness and stuff is coming from a protective heart, which is really cool. But we see that later being repeated as a theme with Machete and Gregorio because he literally says the same line of like, I shouldn't be responsible for anybody but me. And then she goes back and because after a while she's learned this and goes like, but that's not what it means to be family. So like that theme gets repeated of like people learning like I don't need to be responsible for anyone but myself. So I think her arc is extremely interesting to me at least, and I think especially since I'm the older sibling and y'all are the youngest, so maybe it's a little different. Yeah. So maybe I saw myself more in Carmen than I did in Junie.
Oh.
But yeah, they still have a very interesting companionship, and even Junie becoming, sort of like the loser kid at school and everything like that, but becomes more confident through this experience. I think is really interesting.
And as Carmen even points out in the movie, he's the one who gets flooped to be good.
Right. Well, one important thing I also wrote down is that this is Carmen is 10. Maybe
Like 10 and 7 or
she's
12
sort of
and
at,
7.
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
she's at the age where she wants to be able to prove to herself that she's not a kid anymore and that she can be responsible even though she's still young. But Junie's still at this age where he still feels like he's like dependent on his family and his parents, because he's still young enough that he's not like I can still be a kid and I want to be this. Which is interesting how that builds and how they kind of grow and come closer together through that. I think I also, and we've worked at filmmaking summer camps for so long that I like anything where it's kids as heroes because they literally are the heroes of the film. They solve the problems, everything like that. There's this epic shot when they're exiting the department store, which we'll call Dillard's, the Dillards of San Diablo. That's the name of this episode. Is the Dillards? I'm kidding.
The official Dillards in San Diego is like tweeting us at this moment.
Yeah. Someone start a fake Twitter account for Dillards of San Diablo. Anyway, there's a shot of the epic walking out like in slow motion, out of the jetpack action sequence. I love it so much. But yeah, I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like this truly feels like I think Robert Rodriguez set out and said, I want to make a kids movie that doesn't feel like an adult made it. Like, I want to make a movie that feels like a child made it. And I really think he succeeded. Because it's so much, and we've worked with kids in films before that, like, this totally feels like something a kid would make up.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And that's where I think and I think this, I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I feel like this movie does it, but I feel like even Spy Kids 2 elevates everything way bigger because of how successful the first movie was. It was made on a super tight budget. It was like this movie was made for like $30-something million. It made a lot more. It made like $400 million.
It spent like its first 3 weeks at like top of the box office.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking at numbers here. So it's like it came out around the same time as, well, it you can claim that it beat Gladiator at the box office. Gladiator was in its 340th day at that point.
Okay. So at this point.
but like Spy Kids, and it was there, Gladiator was in theaters, Memento was in theaters, Pokemon 3 the movie was in theaters.
Okay.
Maybe
a topic we'll talk about.
Spoiler alert, yeah. But yeah, there was a ton of stuff in there that it's like.
What I'm hearing is this was a great time to go to the movies.
It was a pretty
2001.
Pretty sweet time.
Better
Crouching
than
Tiger,
now.
Hidden Dragon.
Again, that's the email is dillards@aol.com.
Dillard's has the vaccine. They're just not.
For those who don't know what
telling
Dillard's is, it's basically like what is happening to Sears right now.
Yeah.
And JCPenney went bankrupt, right?
Did they really?
Really? Oh man.
This pour went out for the
There's always
Let's take a moment of
big
silence. On
Bridget Jones's Diary.
Okay. Wow, there was a bunch of good movies around this time.
Joe Dirt.
So this was this is the summer of 2001.
Yeah, it's like like late spring.
Okay, so like May,
It's like April.
April. Oh, okay. Some other things that I think what makes it feel like a kids movie and really takes it seriously is because like the music is done by Danny Elfman and Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez did like all of it, and this is very much maybe that's probably why I like Robert a lot as a director is that he like every project that he does he like basically self funds. Or at least at this point, he was self-funding it, where he's like, I'm going to direct it, I'm going to write it, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to do some of the VFX, I'm going to write some of the music, like, I'm going to do everything I can so that I can do it myself, or learn it from the experience. And, but Danny Elfman did a lot of music. But the thing is, like, in the action sequences, in any other movie that would have come out at this point, the music would have been like a Blink-182 song or something. Would have been like, or like rock music of like, and then they would have been like, whoa, what we gotta get the kids? It would have been like he's taking it so seriously, which is how like, every kid would want to when they're making something. Take it, the stupidest thing so seriously, and that's why it works so much.
Well, again, going back to movie camp, I remember vividly one time you saying like, the things that are funny aren't funny if you make them a joke. It's funny that like kids are this gang that runs the city very seriously. Like that's the humor in it.
Right.
For that situation, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I think that might be coming from Spy Kids, or just might just be coming from like and also like it's like for example like 1966 Batman with Adam West is one of my favorite movies ever or TV series of all time. But like at when I saw it as a kid, I didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was serious, and I thought it was really cool. Now I watch it and I love it as a comedy. So like it changes and morphs as you get older. So that's an example of it. But no, I really like Robert Rodriguez. I think he apparently edited this whole thing in his garage.
I read that his garage is like his code for his editing room.
Yeah, I think it's actually
It's like still very high tech.
Yeah,
I think it said on IMDb that it's like actually like decked out with like proper film editing equipment, all the bells and whistles.
It's not got like
It may actually be. It may.
Filled with frozen pizzas.
I feel like that's a requirement for
a garage.
It's like 3 a.m. You're working on the edit.
Oh,
The
what
fridge
food are
is
we
humming
getting?
in the background.
Nuke some DiGiorno.
Yeah,
That's got some taquitos.
And by the way, I just got the numbers. The cumulative worldwide gross 150 million. So it was like budget of 35 made 150.
But still, yeah, that I don't know why I said 400 earlier, but that's still really good.
I didn't remember you saying.
Yeah,
but still justifies like again like a really good sequel and like the time and effort to make a sequel. Sequels.
Yeah, One thing I also think what I love watching this movie too is I think the gadgets are hilarious and really funny. So like at the beginning of the movie, like the mom has like her makeup kit, but it's actually a computer.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, she hits like a specific like this blush and this thing, and it like opens up, turns
the
her
mirrors
vanity.
turn sideways.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, into
That's
a computer
great.
screen.
I think at one point her engagement ring also has a laser on it.
Yeah, she cuts the ropes with that.
All the sunglasses, the spy sunglasses, the fake mustaches, the world's smallest camera. I love that.
Oh yeah.
The electromagnetic gum.
Yep.
And bubbles, I think is great. It's so like a kid made this. It's so smart.
What is it? It's like literally just silly string, but it's like, what do they call it?
Concrete cement.
Instant cement.
Instant
or something?
cement. Yeah.
Oh, so good. All the fake mustaches. Like it's
Yeah.
revealed that the dad had like this thin one. Is fake.
It's fake as well.
Oh, so funny. And then my favorite one is probably the rehydrator, which is a microwave.
Oh, is that what they call it?
That makes in this movie is kind of I think the only version of product placement that we get. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. And it makes McDonald's.
Were there like Spy Kids Happy Meal toys?
Well, I'm glad you
Oh,
asked.
yes.
Because I have it right here in front of me. We'll have to post it on our line. Is everything that you could get in that
Yes.
Happy
Man.
Meals.
I think I missed this.
You can
era.
barely see it from where you guys are sitting, but because we record this in an abandoned airplane hangar, because we have to socially distance. But are you okay over there, Jonathan? I can barely see you. Anyway,
We are,
so
for
some
you
of the toys that we
Americans,
have-
multiple football fields apart.
some of the toys that we have here is we have a spy watch, we have a spy phone, we have spy glasses, we have a spy light and launcher. I don't know what really that is. I can't even read this. Sorry. A spy squirter. I don't really know what that is. A spy identifier, where I think it just takes cameras of you.
You know,
yeah.
From this distance,
A spy motion detector.
because it's like a blue rectangle with a little red triangle in the corner. It kind of looks like a box of Oreos, making me kind of hungry.
It's the deep fake. It's actually Oreo product placement.
It's actually it's the psychological play.
The presence of McDonald's in the movie Spied Kids is designed to make Jonathan crave Oreos.
One important thing to talk about with the McDonald's things is that with all their kids, they actually had a ultimate spy game going on with all their toys at McDonald's, which is if you look inside your Spy Kids toy bag, or if you visited www.mcdonalds.com to get a spy code.
Ask your parents for permission before
And you
logging
have-
online.
Yep. Grab your parents.
Yeah.
Enter the spy code that's on there, and you could get a chance to win any of these prizes. 2 movie tickets to Spy Kids. A Kodak digital camera.
Oh,
That one right there.
it's pretty sick.
Some Foster Grant child sunglasses.
Okay.
Or an Isuzu Axiom car.
What?
Did you get your choice of these?
No,
Your chance to win. This was the sweepstakes that they had. So this is all
I'm
part of
imagining a kid like
The parents like, Jonathan, pick the car. Pick the car.
He's
I
like-
want to see Spy Kids again. No!
Oh, he's just like scrolling the cursor of the mouse.
What should I pick?
Or he picks the car and it's just like a Hot Wheel. It's so funny that you still drive that car to this day, John. But yeah, but they're cool Happy Meal toys.
800,000 miles on it.
I think they're really cool. And what if I told both of you that they're available on Amazon, the entire thing?
Oh.
How much do they want for that?
$20
What?
plus $10 in shipping, so $30.
Oh.
I know you were like,
expected it.
what?
I thought it was
Brett,
gonna be
why didn't
higher
you get
than
that for this week's gift? I didn't bring a gift. I think we're only going to do gift for guests.
Right.
And maybe coming up, we'll do a giveaway of some sort. We can talk about that.
Oh,
let's do
yeah.
it.
Dope.
But yeah, Robert Rodriguez is great.
$50 gift card to Dillard's.
I was gonna say I've got some shoes that don't fit.
Jonathan will be selling his box set of the Andy Griffith Show.
I have 45 buttons that have fallen off of fallen off of my shirts.
You want the rest of this ragu?
man.
Robert Rodriguez is great. We love him. By the time this comes out, we will have seen his directing work on The Mandalorian. So,
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see.
Incredible.
Yeah, season 2. So, which we don't know anything about, which I'm really excited to hear more about him. Will we get follow up on? Will the Fugleys show up in The Mandalorian?
Most ambitious crossover.
What if, dude?
Why do you think they never take their helmets off,
dude? Oh my gosh. This is the way. They're saying it backwards. What if Baby Yoda is a Fugly?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's what we learned. Is Baby Yoda a Fugly? # Baby Yoda Fugly. And if he's not...
#1 trending on Twitter.
Baby Yoda Fugly. Robert Rodriguez, great director. Can't wait to see... what's it called? Oh, yeah, Machete Kills in Space. Whenever that comes out.
Now, isn't he also... I saw this thing called 100 Years.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Well, I want to learn more about it. I saw 2115, and I looked at what it's about.
100 Years is a project that Robert Rodriguez has directed with John Malkovich. It's a short film. It will come out 2115. It comes out in 100 years from when they filmed it. It has been locked in a vault.
Locked in a vault with a time code or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and no one is ever going to see it, at least in this room, unless some miracle.
And what I read that there's like certain they've given away they're like metal tickets or whatever. So it's like descendants of people that have tickets to see it.
Yeah,
are the ones that are getting to see
it first or something. Yeah. It's
They open it up and they got to figure out how to transmit it into everyone's brains.
What is a VHS? It's like what the?
It was done with the cognac Louis XIII because it takes 100 years to make. Mm-hmm. So it's locked in a vault with Louis XIII.
Wait, what's the name of the movie again? It's
100 Years.
100 Years.
Starring John Malkovich, written by John Malkovich, music by Pharrell Williams.
They open the vault and it's just a note that says like maybe the real 100 years were the friends we made along the way.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was a Fugly.
Baby Yoda Fugly.
The Fugleys are real, and he sealed them away for 100 years to protect all of humanity.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
The mini dinosaurs from Spy Kids.
Well, I think this is it for this episode of Most Extreme Podcast. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram with the handle Most Extreme Pod. And if you have any questions or want any Dillard's coupons,
I was about to say support your local Dillard's.
Support your local Dillard's. Well, ours is closed, but
no.
Please go to Dillard's. And if you have any questions, please email us at mostextremepodcast@gmail.com. Anything else?
You nailed it.
Booyah. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. We'll see.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay.
All right.